Hello everyone, back tuning into today's first video, doing JMA Friday for today's first video. So as I was on a Friday, we're having a look at the weather for the month ahead with Japanese and CFS V2. This will take us into the second half of March. So we're going into the second half of the first month of the spring of 2020, at least, and the Joshua spring 2020 anyway. So have a look at the JMA first of all, then we'll have a look at the CFS V2, we'll compare the two of them and see what trends we can pick out for the next 4 weeks. So I'll get on that for you very shortly. Just say that the second video update coming up later on this afternoon will be your regular week to 10-day video update. That will have all of the usual features, of course. So we're going to start off with the JMA seasonal model, or month ahead model anyway. These are 500 millibar heights broken down into weekly periods. The first weekly period will take us from the 21st through to the 28th of February. This is from the Arctic and North Pole view down. So, of course, this is the North Pole of the Northern Hemisphere. Just here, Arctic around there. They've got mid latitudes through here. These broke down to weekly periods, as I say. The first week period takes us from the 21st 28th of February. Blue extrapolates to low pressure, yellow, orange and red to high pressure. You can see that in the coming week we've got a big ridge of high pressure sitting, as it has been throughout the winter, across many southern and central parts of Europe. Then we've got deep low pressure within the northern latitudes up here to the north of the British Isles, around Greenland, Iceland, northern Scandinavia, those sort of areas. A strong jet stream coming across the Atlantic. So in the week ahead we remain very unsettled, very Atlantic driven. Further bouts of rain moving in from off the Atlantic. Could be a little bit cold at times as well, as the wind is digging in from Greenland and coming into the Atlantic like that. There's a long sea fetch with that, so it does moderate it to some degree, but probably quite cool and unsettled, very unsettled in the week ahead. Week 2 will take us from the 28th of February to the 6th of March. We see that we have low pressure again out to our north and west. High pressure, though, is starting to push further northwards towards us. It looks like it could be a very mild start to March. Winds going into, or first week of March, winds going into the southwest. And with this ridge building up from the south, you would expect increasing amounts of dry weather, especially across southern parts of the country. Probably still quite unsettled, though, up in the north. It may take a little while to settle things down up in the north. And then weeks 3 and 4, look at this, it's the 6th to the 20th of March, and we find ourselves then under an area of high pressure, which is something we haven't been under very often over the past few weeks and months. But yes, we have a ridge of high pressure appearing there over the top of the UK and Western Europe. Low pressure is out to the west in the Atlantic, jet stream doing something a bit like that. You expect a lot of dry weather with that. Yes, settling down definitely if this comes off going into March, a much more anticyclonic, drier, and you would have thought relatively mild and spring-like pattern. The air should still be coming up from like the south, so it looks very, very pleasant. I expect there will be above average temperatures there. Maybe some chilly nights with some mist and fog patches, but by day above average. Sun's getting ever stronger in March, of course. It's as strong as it is in September. So yes, I think days will be pleasantly mild, quite warm potentially, maybe a bit cold by night, but the main thing, of course, is that it would be settling down. It would break us out of this very, very wet pattern that we've been under for so very long. Confirming this with the mid-latitude view, so the British Isles on this view is in the top right-hand corner of the chart. As you're looking at it, you can't see the Arctic and Scandinavia, that's off the chart up here, but just have a look at that view down, so we don't need to see it again particularly. Reminder of the week 1, 500 millibar height only, very unsettled, low pressure. You can just make it out with those blue colours coming across the Atlantic along with a strong jet stream as well. High pressure, though, is sitting to the south of us through here, and again over here with jet stream to the north of it. So it looks very unsettled in the week ahead. We confirm that with precipitation anomaly, which is coming out above average. It's a wetter than average week again, as most of the weeks this winter have been. Another wetter than average week coming up for many of us. A bit colder as well, especially for the north. A bit colder than it has been this winter anyway, so a bit below average actually for northern parts of the country. Still a bit mild on average over England under Wales. But it is a slightly cooler week coming up than we've had quite often through this winter. Week 2 is the 28th of February to the 6th of March, and this one finds the ridge building more strongly to the south with the below average heights out to the northwest. Jet streams pushing northwards as well. Precipitation in week 2 is actually still unsettled, maybe a bit surprisingly so. I thought anyway for southern parts of the country it might be going a bit drier, but looks like all areas still being forecast to have above average rainfall there through the first week of March. Temperatures are mild though. It's a mild average week with winds coming up from the southwest, so the JMA is seeing a mild but still quite unsettled week there. And then weeks 3 and 4, which takes us from the 6th through to the 20th of March, finds high pressure then more or less centred over the top of the country with low pressure and the jet stream going northwards. You expect this to be a more settled week. The model is still going for above average rainfall, so I can't really explain what's going on with that. It does look as though it should be substantially more settled, but the model somehow is still seeing above average precipitation. It doesn't want to break us out of this wet pattern, despite the fact that the ridge is building up from the south. So that is quite strange. You would look at that and think we're under an area of high pressure, and it should be relatively mild. It could be something like week 3 is very wet and week 4 offsets it, or maybe week 3 has a drier period under the high pressure and then it goes very wet again in week 4. It is a 2-weekly anomaly, so you always have to keep that in mind with a 2-weekly anomaly. But given the 500 millibar height anomaly that we've got there for those 2 weeks, weeks 3 and 4, you would expect that to be a little bit drier, I would have thought, than that's shown. But anyway, the model still wants to keep it quite unsettled despite the ridge, even into the middle and second half of March. Temperature anomalies continue to be above average, so a mild but unsettled March, despite slightly more anticyclonic signals. A mild but unsettled March coming up if the JMA is right. Let's have a look at CFS V2, see how that compares. So again, these are 500 millibar heights broken down into week periods. The first week period takes from the 21st to the 27th of February. The coming week is identical to what the JMA is showing. High pressure to the south, low pressure where it's been all winter to the north, bringing a strong jet stream across the Atlantic. It looks like week ahead would be unsettled, and indeed it will be. The air could be digging out of Greenland as well at times, so a little bit on the cold side also, particularly for northern parts of the country. Week 2 is the 28th of February to the 5th of March. Above average heights then sort of west-southwest, so in a slightly different position to where the JMA has it. Low pressure still up towards Greenland and Iceland, but lining up the jet stream northwest to southeast. That looks like it could be quite a chilly start to March, and fairly unsettled still as well. Dare I say, possibly a little bit of wintry potential in with that, although particularly southern areas, it's a bit hit and miss. I think you would have to take that ridge further northwards to be able to drive the colder air southwards. But it does look rather cool and unsettled there in week 2 of CFS V2. Then we're up to week 3, which is the 6th to the 12th of March. This one with low pressure again out to the northwest around Greenland and Iceland. High pressure ridging from the south, but also going north as well. It looks like we're trying to set up a bit of a Siberian high there. So we haven't seen that much for much during this winter, but that would be trying to turn the winds into the east. However, of course, we've got this ridge still over Spain as well. So what's happening is that 2 ridges are getting together. I think the basic upshot with this is that it's trying to settle down. Notice it's trough across southeastern parts of the Med. That'll be a cold trough via this Siberian high. That'll push cold air down the eastern southeastern side of Europe. So winter biting late in the east and southeast. For us, we kept on the mild side of the jet stream really, and just started to turn a little bit more, a little bit drier perhaps. I wouldn't say settled, but probably turning a little bit drier, especially the southern and eastern parts of the country. And then look at this, we get through to week 4, which is the 13th to the 19th of March, and high pressure then is really taking over, not just for the UK, but across much of northern and Western Europe as well. Low pressure becoming increasingly weak around Greenland and Iceland. Jet streams doing something a bit like that. It's a rather strange looking pattern, but the upshot is we will be turning things increasingly dry and spring-like there. We get through to the middle of March and that is proper spring setting in. Temperatures probably reaching the mid-teens Celsius, and given back to sunshine, maybe a little bit more than that. Could be quite cold again, still at night, but certainly by day, quite spring-like, and crucially, and importantly, after such a wet winter, would be a lot drier as well, I think. Let's have a temperature anomaly is looking for the next 4 weeks. So week 1, 21st of February to 27th, near north for Scotland, above average for England and Wales. Look how mild it is across most parts of Eurasia, as it has been all winter, although many parts of America look like they're turning a lot colder. Week 2 is the 28th of February to the 5th of March. We line the jet stream up northwest to southeast, and the temperature goes close to average, possibly even hints at being a little bit below average. Look at winter really biting in the eastern part of America as well there. So again, a very late burst of really cold weather for eastern parts of states. For us, we're not as cold as that. Nevertheless, we do see a drop in the temperature. It looks like it could be quite a chilly start to March with those northwesterly winds. Week 3 is the 6th to the 12th of March, sees a bit of a recovery in the temperature, goes a little bit milder than average. Most parts of America are still looking cold, and then we get through to week 4, and spring arrives. This is the 13th to the 19th, but well, some would say we've had spring all the way through the winter, of course, but we get through to 13th, 19th of March, and yes, it's significantly milder than average. Winds are wafting up from the south-southwest, and I reckon temperatures will be pushing up into the mid-teens at least there. And a lot of pleasant spring-like sunshine, you would have thought. Precipitation anomalies in weekend, wetter than average, 21st of February to the 27th. So yes, a wet week coming up yet again. Week 2 is 28th of February to the 5th of March. Slightly above average precipitation, not as wet as it is in week 1. I think there is a little bit of wintry potential there with winds lining up north and southeast along with the jet stream. Week 3 is the 26th of March to the 12th, and that one has average precipitation or maybe no signal. And then week 4 is the 13th to the 19th of March, again average precipitation. We'll expect that to be a bit drier though, and you'll notice just to the west of Scotland it actually looks a little bit wetter than average there. Presumably because despite the ridge building just to our east, we've got influences from a jet stream running a little bit to our northwest. But it's certainly not all that conclusive, is it, about turning things drier into March. So we've still got the hints here that we're going to get something drier for March, and we're going to break out of this unsettled weather. The hints are still there, but they are still no more than hints at the moment. And when you drill down into the detail, actually, from a precipitation perspective, the JMA definitely wants to keep things quite unsettled and wetter than average, even going into the middle of March when it's seeing high pressure trying to build. The CFS is a little bit inconclusive about turning things drier as well. So I think on the evidence, we are probably going to see a break to this very unsettled weather. We're probably going to get some drier weather and high pressure setting up in March. But between the lines, and drilling down into the details, there is still a bit of uncertainty about just how much influence I think high pressure will get. So it's going to try to get its act together, this ridge building up from the Azores, and bring spring and settle us down into March. But how much influence it has, whether the Atlantic will ease off the gas enough to allow this ridge to build up from the Azores, I think there is uncertainty about that, and we will need to wait and see another week or two exactly where this is going. So, on the face of it, yes, drier conditions for March with more high pressure about than we've had for quite a few months, but still a lot of uncertainty about that. For the rest of February, of course, very unsettled and getting a little bit colder as well as we come towards the end of the month and into the beginning of March. Remember, it's just a snapshot of what these models are showing, so it could all look very different next week. Any forecast beyond 5 to 7 days is fraught with danger, so there's always those caveats applying. We'll do it all over again next Friday, see what JMA and CFS is showing then. We'll be back later on this afternoon with your week to 10 day video update, so come back for that then. That's all for now though, and thanks for watching.